What's up, gang? This episode is going to be a lot. So buckle up. This is Fight the Funk podcast, exploring mental health, culture, and the world around us. And this is episode 68. I've been trying to find time to make this episode. It's a long one, so just like but once again, thank you everybody who rock with this podcast, listens and follows. And apologies I couldn't get to this sooner. So this episode I'm gonna be talking about LGBTQ, being righteous in the cigar shop. Sounds amusing. And the woman with a cigar and her cleavage. That was very. I tried. I looked. I think I looked twice. I looked. Okay. Also, the Willie Lynch document. I'm gonna be talking about just my take on like the art of being an artist, a musical artist, and how that actually relates to the moving the greater good. Bruce's Beach, a positive note, and then the co-ops. I've been kind of really trying to understand more as I try to find a balance of how do you be an entrepreneur, and then I also learn and contribute to create a co-op. How do you do those simultaneously, along with everything else? So of life that life brings you. So with that, man, I'm gonna just kind of talk about what what I'm about to say is in the way of like no, I'm always gonna put my head down and just do work, and I'm a builder, I'm a creator, so that's just I'm gonna do that. But also, just I want to hopefully this just allows my supporters and followers more permission to openly continue to rock with me and for from all walks of life. Like I know there's a lot of supporters, but like I don't know how to best support. Do I know? Okay, so it's like, and that's on me as well, because I am just different, um, and uh, and I know it's like it's hard to um, it's hard to rock with me, man, because I'm very like, oh, now he's doing this now, oh, now he's doing that, oh, now he's not posting a podcast in like 4 weeks. So I appreciate you, and uh, and if I'm not for you, it's cool, man. You are absolutely free to keep it moving, keep it moving. And if I don't get shit done in the way people like please, there's a lot of people that's doing it better than me, and I applaud them, and I look up to it's like, hey man, it's like the hot like in basketball, you pass it to the hot hand. Like this person is hitting the shots, then we got to give it to that person. Ego aside. So I think that's where we all are. I think that's part of the what's dope about the co-ops, but we'll get to that later. Um, but I want to, as I move forward, man, like 2020. I don't know if people really understand that to be me in that situation was month to month of psychological torture. Mainly who I am and as I am was painfully not accepted. It's almost like a dark comedy, to be stuck being you and being encouraged to be your authentic self, and you like, but I am my authentic self. Like it's really and it's something that started a while back that has been disturbing from day one. Um, uh, and it's you are not alone. And it's like I know um, depression. I know and I think that makes it hard for people to follow. Where it's like, so you're not depressed, but you talking monotone. Your writing is so dry, man. And you by yourself a lot. You all right? And it's like, so it's weird to it's hard to support somebody like that. So like I said, I'm grateful for people that stick with me and rock with me. And this, unfortunately, is my authentic self. I like to say, like what I've been understanding, um, like how I function is misunderstood. But this is how I've always been. And uh, and kind of unraveling as far as like I'm a neurodivergent. I like to think of it as autistically gifted, and I will not see it as I would not see it like I used to when I was growing up. I used to see it as a curse, being thrown into special ed and not being able to like my brain is I'm writing one moment and I can't write the next moment. That always um, that always brought a lot of like, man, you ain't never gonna get it right. Like being scared to go to the board and being like, I know I'm smart, but I can't show it. And just those sticking points, man. Those it's being autistically gifted, it allows like, oh shoot, I'm not like, nah, man, this is a gift, but I have to continue to learn how to function. And knowing that trying to force myself to be different and be in a certain way has been the byproduct of me trying to force myself to be bubbly and yeah and da 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 and hey guy, it's like that's leads to depression, not the actual like, oh, the monotone dry writer. Okay. So it's a journey, man. Um, and I also want to point out like pushing like I'm not punishing myself for like I've always been in that person that punishes itself for not getting it right or not figuring it out um or not, is when people want me to clap, I'm snapping and it's like, no, we want you to clap, man, why are you snapping? So it's that kind of thing where it's like, man, I'm just people want me to zig and I zag like um it's frustrating. Like I told somebody I work with, I was like, yo, if you frustrated with me, I'm frustrated with me as well. Um, all right, let's get into the nitty gritty though. But and I'll say I'm not in need. I have people that still feel like they need to fix me and heal me. I'm not in need of being fixed. I'm not broken. I'm not. I know it's the rescue dog, famous rescue dog. It's like I'm not an untrained dog that needs to be broken in. I'm fully aware of right and wrong. I'm a mother's son. Like I have no like I've never had a drug dependency. No, I never committed a crime. I'm just fucking different. That's it. That's it. I'm awkward. I'm an awkward dude. Like when I've dated, I'm just awkward. Like I'm not like it's like no, I'm awkward. Like you like I really don't like that I'm that awkward. Um, and and I do know like to be real, like the part of also last year is I do know shame and humiliation as someone who was like a down low black dude publicly outed for being bisexual and shit. Like I do know like and I'll never be the same after that. But I have done work to just move forward. Like now I've already went to the biggest LGBTQ march in the history of the world, and I did that by myself, and owned it. And I have letting go of resentment, man. I will still speak on LGBTQ matters. Like I've said before, I want a family personally, but I know other people have they're on different roads, man, and their walk is different from mine. Their passion, like fighting for LGBTQ rights, is that's their passion. Mine is fighting mental health advocacy as a black male. It's like that's what I was called to do. I mean, I have to respect that. And not much exploring mental health as a black male is my passion, but I still defend LGBTQ rights. Like I'm on that spectrum, and I may not roll in the circles. Like it's not my thing. Um, and And I'm gonna share this little story. I should wait on that. But one truth I learned about last year, because this really, in a lot of ways, I had to realize this ain't about you, man. You just a political pawn. You just being used, like, to be real. So don't really take it, ego, people. It's like the it ain't really about me. Um, there's a lot of power structures in play, and a lot of things that felt like corporate takedowns, that had nothing to do with just like this motherfucker got following. We gotta sabotage this shit. That's what these last few years have felt like, especially last year, where it's like it felt like a calculated, perfectly executed corporate takedown of the most awful kind. Um, and all you can do is move forward, man. Um, and knowing that people that were close to you probably played a part in that feeling, that like, oh man, I'm looking at people that they help. The weirdness of being created and brought up to be a hero and then created in the villain like within 8 months, it was mind numbing. Like, how am I now a monster walking through the streets? Like, what in the world is going on? It's an awful feeling. Um, and one thing I realized, like, when you help, even if you didn't really wasn't intending on a whole level that it was like, my intention was, oh my God, there's a black male murdered, and I got to do everything I can to rally, and as long as I stay healthy, do my thing. And that psychological, that torture, that being isolated, and I have a lot of ugly faces that are recorded and out, which is embarrassing. But all I can do is move forward, like, because that to be put through that, and knowing, like, uh, it's a terrible feeling. Um, but when you help bring powerful, rich, spoiled white males down, you don't just walk away from that. And I think that's what one of the takeaways, where it's like, yeah, I'm sure there's some like things that was foul because it was supposed to go a different way or go a certain way if things played out the way it played out, and then it never went that way. And it's like, so there was some foul business, I'm sure, that went down. But it's I think it's just important to move forward. Um, Now this cigar shop. So I think the more social we are, the more challenging it is, like, not to be challenged by contradictions. Because I'm in a cigar shop, and it's especially when it's like people that you invested your like trust in, which is cool, man. It's like I'm getting introduced to people that are making moves and businessmen, and I'm just like, man, but I'm just, it's a cigar. What am I doing smoking a cigar? But and there's, tobacco industry and history, and but it's like, but you want to support and feel and be in the vibe, in the space, uh, and especially being invited. So it's like, so I'm there, and I still got the cigar too. I don't really smoke. I took it home. I was like, I'm not gonna smoke this, but I don't want to waste it. Like, but I'm never gonna smoke it. So now I have a cigar that just sits on the table. That's like 10% smoke, but it was the experience of being there. And I think this is where the being too honest and forthcoming, like, kind of runs aground. And not runs aground, but I'm in a room full of black dudes chilling, um, and I believe my friend purposely brought this subject up, but he mentioned pedophiles, and I got angry with the idea of like I went right into the LGBTQ because it reminded me of Dave Chappelle's special, where if you listen to my last podcast, I was pretty much just taking the positive out of Chappelle's special. But I didn't know what turf was. I didn't know what the writer lady, why the anger. I was just like, well, it's comedy. It's the black dude thing, man. Black dudes be clowning. That's what they do. It's like, it's sometimes you're on the wrong end of it. And that's kind of how I was taking it. But then I did like a little more like research, and I watched some another podcast where they were like breaking down, like really talking to LGBTQ members who are like active in movement and brilliant and knowledgeable. And then I was like, that's why they were so angry. Um, and so I came into it with that kind of energy where I was like, dude, like it's the whole struggle. Like the LGBTQ movement has fought so hard. It's like for to break that free of the hate group, the hate speech from that what they've had to work through, where it's like being gay, being bisexual, being trans is not the same as being a pedophile. It's like they have to work their ass off and fight like that kind of hate speech and that kind of hate group. And I think that's where the anger came from, like with Dave Chappelle, where it's like you aligning yourself with pure hate, where it's like it goes deeper than just I see the woman, I see a dude who's a trans person, and I think, and my visceral response is I hate them because it's like a white person in blackface. It's deeper than that. It's like it's the insidiousness where I'm imagining them doing all kind of fucked up shit, and I'm going to inflict that on them in their life and harm their life. And that's where I started understanding the depths of the anger of the LGBTQ community. And that's where it's like I have blind spots. Even though I'm from, I'm on that spectrum, I have blind spots myself where I'm like, oh, I get it. That I would, and so I'm in that cigar shop, and I'm feeling that same kind of that anger. Like, no, man, this shit is real. Like those as straight people, it should be SLGBTQ plus. Like that's really because straight people are just as freaky, promiscuous. Everybody is, and that's where it always comes back. Man, is it consensual and legal? Yes. Okay, it's none of my business. But it should be SLBT. Okay, whatever. But it's like that's where you get the anger from. Where it's like no, man, it's like you can't tie those two together. Like gay, bisexual, trans is not the same as pedophile. And it's like, so fuck that. And it's that kind of, I got and then I remind myself like, dog, you in a lounge, dog. Like, you supposed to be lounging and smoking a cigar and chopping it up with the peoples. And I don't know if I gross the dudes out with my conversation. But I did feel like a shift, oh, I see a few people leaving. Oh, okay, well maybe I shouldn't have been so loud and just going in on that. So, but and then I also say this, I think there's a lot of like I sat through a brilliant presentation on just breaking down LGBTQ and the personality types and gender, sexuality, and there's like some other ones. I took notes on it, but it's like sitting down through all that and learning the different the pronouns, the different verbiage, and it's deep and there's a lot to it. And most people are never gonna go like learn that much about it. It's like we just kind of goes over our heads. But I think there are. I think as you move forward, just like Chappelle said, man, it's like there has to be those conversations, and coming to those consensus, and understanding the trigger points, the hurtfulness, the history, and I think people that do attack LGBTQ and don't respect gender rights and trans rights, and it's like I think you forget that they have been on like LGBT is the fiercest fighters, the Monster in the Mission in San Francisco. Like they brought so much housing to the community. It's like they've been on the front line more than any, I guess what more just as much more than any of us. Like they show up and they write the reviews. They go talk to the congressman. It's like the fight is real. Um, and that's where it's like, man, I'm a builder, I'm a creator. I can defend myself and have fight in me, but I want to create. Like that's what my purpose is. So you gotta you I think you shoot yourself in the foot if you that like a black male. He's like, oh, I'm never, oh, the gay bi and da da da. It's like no, they fight for you. Like they're also fighting for us. So it is a lot of intersectionality to all this that we do have to embrace. We should understand because we're really shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't understand the layers to it and how what they're fighting for, how what we fighting for, and like with Black mental health, like as an advocate, is like it's all connected. How we go through these, how we grow up in these situations in our lives and in our adult life. It's like it's all connected, man. Like the if you're more straight and you have a family, like you still probably came up. You there's people that still came up through those same situations that were foul, but they made it through to have a family. They made it through to live a life of whatever, to be of service or to not be of service, to just be a working person at a whatever. I think there's a lot of depth to it, to all of it, and it's like that's where we have to give ourselves grace to know what we don't know, to understand that there we no matter how much we like we think we know, we still have so many blind spots. Like the mind is such a frontier, to speak, man. The mind is so like complicated, and that's another thing that made me mad about last year, where there was so much of the Pavlov's dog methods, and it's like we not dogs, man. Like I get it, it's wacky, it's fun, it's a rally cry, but it's like we so much more complicated than just alike or what the response was. It's like we're way more complicated than that. There's so many variations to our human algorithm that is just disappointing to try to reduce us down to just a dog, you know. Um, and that's nothing that is it's sad. Like it's not sad, but it's we're so much more. And to be a human being is so much more complex than a Pavlov's dog experiment in the stimulation and what the click the like on the click the like. It's a lot that goes into to all that. As we are all connected, we are also have a responsibility to be responsible how we market to each other, how we we try to influence each other. Like there's this recklessness to it. Like last year, there's a lot of reckless, where it's like just everybody is a frenzy. And then this year, still the same kind of like where we're all conditioned, and we've all been heavily marketed our whole lives. So when we start stuff and we do things, it's like we follow suit. Like, well, the algorithm says I need to do 4 or 5 posts a day and 25 clips and then do a live chat, even though that's nothing to do with my personality. That's not how I'm wired. But I have to go against that to fit the algorithm. It's like it's not healthy. And then who are you benefiting? You're benefiting the people that created the platform. And I think that's part of the mindfulness, where our struggles and our fights on these platforms, who are they benefiting? Like, are we getting paid to fight on these platforms? Are we getting paid? You know, it's like there's some companies where they pay their employees to be on these platforms. So it's like you gotta ask yourself, are you being paid to live and be on these platforms? And how many hours are you spending on these platforms? A lot of things to be asked. And then and ending on this part of with LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, social justice movements, organizers, just marginalized groups in as a whole, the climate change activists is like, I think one thing is to remember that it's always that over explaining, over justification. And I'm gonna end this segment on with the Toni Morrison quote. But this is important when it comes to making change, but being specific with your energy, especially when it comes to the world of information. But she says the very serious function of racism is a distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. Somebody says you have no language, so you spend 20 years proving that you do. Somebody says your head isn't shaped properly, so you have scientists working on the fact that it is. Someone says you have no art, so you dredge that up. Somebody says you have no kingdoms, so you dredge that up. None of that is necessary. That will always be one more thing. So if you a justice fighter, you were in any sector, man, because it's like not all of us are meant to be at the rallies and marching, but we all are part of it. We all still are affected by white supremacy. We're affected by the fact that we have no real unions anymore. We've lost so much ground. We're affected by the middle class that still doesn't really exist. We're affected by the bills, meaningful bills that don't get passed, like meaningful gun legislations that don't get passed. Like we're going back to where we were before the pandemic. People say stuff is spiking. It's like, no, we're just going back to things that were bad before. We're just going back to that. And corporate people still clogging up the works so we can't pass meaningful legislation. They can have a whole chamber quiet. Like that's powerful, man. That is powerful. Where it's like everybody can have the same data and know something is wrong, and it's just like know where it's like, yo, we need to do something about the we need to pass meaningful legislation with gun control, and just like that's powerful. And that's where the fight is, man. So if you explaining all this about myself, and then if I fail, but this is why it's like, then you're not actually getting to the problem. You're not actually fighting for the cause. You're getting caught up the weeds. Like it's designed to get you caught up in the weeds. Being at that tobacco, the cigar shop, it reminded me of the Merchants of Doubt, where it's like when everybody was fighting against the tobacco company, and they were like, and then the tobacco company hired some people to create a spin where they're like, nah, man, all these fires being started, it ain't from the cigarettes, it's from the furniture. Like what the, and they had these people that stirred up all this energy, and I'll prove to you it's the furniture and it's not the cigarettes that's causing these house fires. And they actually got percentages of the country to believe that it was the furniture that was causing the house fires. Like that's the kind of work that these people are hired to do, because they have no conscience. Like if you can do that and you knowingly can do that, you have no conscience, man. And I think that's important with bringing that into the Black community, where it's like it's a masterful where you can apply the right pressure and use collective pride as a weakness in a lot of ways. Like white supremacists and even just people that want to stay in power. Like the mechanisms of chaos. Like we see people that that are masterful at just keeping chaos, keeping rage, and then turning that on different populations. Like rage the tan suit, rage the cooking wear, and rage this, and um, the sleight of hand is brilliant. And I think the like with Cambridge Analytica, it's like how they targeted the Black community with misinformation. The Black community, and it's like, and we're so in an abusive cycle that, like, we will destroy our saints, we will destroy our own prophets, we will destroy our own leaders if the right circumstances are set up. And that's where I think of like what made Big, what made Tupac, what made Nipsey, what made DMX so prolific is like they use their lyrics to reach towards being a prophet. And I think it's a different focus, man. Like that, and that's where it becomes timeless. Whereas like they don't settle for profit and off of the state of things. Like their words are about moving culture forward. And I think that's what makes it so that's what makes it like the prophet. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've now I listen to these songs and everything has come to fruition. Pac was a prophet. Nipsey was a prophet. You know, it's like everything comes to fruition. Like DMX song about his grandma, like that shit is so real. Like it's so like, this is the misunderstanding of a young Black male. It's so like, it's timeless, man. Because it's the purposeful misunderstanding of intention. And it's like, and so people that have that gift, um, and it's like, as a culture, how do we not be duped into destroying and being in those same cycles of abuse, where we only love these people when they die, when we only love these people when they fall off, or be happy, the jealousy, or the what Pac said, nigga nature, the Black classism, where you got to rise to my intellectual heights and accomplish the things I've accomplished before I will acknowledge the. It's like, that's bullshit. Like, we're going against people that they just move, man. They just, oh, what, we got somebody that, okay, let's put him up in the office, let him fail forward, fund him so he can properly go at this. But we do have classes and we have pride, and I think that's one of the things that sets us back. Is the worst thing for especially affluent Black people is to be embarrassed. Once you start embarrassing, is like, that's when it falls apart. People don't want to be embarrassed. And a lot of this is about being embarrassed. Like standing out in front of holding a sign by yourself on a street corner, like, that's embarrassing if you, depending on your age. Like, there's a time I would have never stood on a street corner with a sign saying fight gentrification. But it's like, you work through that. And I think that's how we are as a culture, where it's like, the things I would never march. I ain't never gonna do that. That looks stupid. I'm really ridiculous. It's like you kind of push through that. And it's like, sometimes on the other side of being embarrassed or being humiliated is freedom. And that's where it's like, it's easy to be, if you grew up getting in fights, or and defending yourself, like, there's certain elements where you get comfortable doing that. But am I comfortable on the chalkboard right in front of everybody while they're all watching me write? That's a different form of breaking barriers. It's not all glitz and glamour. It's not glorious, but it's a little thing where it's like, oh shit, I can type in front of people. I never did that before. Like, those are little things that only somebody that struggled in education, struggle with dyslexia or somebody would get. Only somebody would get. But it's those kind of things, man. And then kind of bring it to like, so I just had the Stabilizing Sunday group. And one of the things that I kind of related to was like it's like a Shakespeare tragedy, like the Othello, right? Like, it's like the entirety of like the 9% of Black people in California are 13% in the nation. It's almost like we have a metaphorical like Iago, like just kind of in our ear, like just and that's like I think the injustice system, the parts of it that we know are not functioning right. That judge that makes up her own rules and locks up ridiculous amount of black kids, like those are things where it's like she's like the Iago of her town. And we're like, why are we letting her just function? Like, why are we letting her just ruin generations of kids? Like, can we have something? Is there oversight for this woman? Like, she failed the bar exam how many times? Like, why is she allowed to make decisions on black life? And that's where it's like the struggle is still there, the fight is still there, the work is still there. And if you are a builder, a creative, and an artist like myself, it's like it's the building, the creativity is still needed. Um, and it brings it back to that with that metaphorical Iago. It's like we come up with that whole you a criminal, you a criminal, you a monster, you a predator, you never gonna be shit. You're up to no good. And it almost becomes your mantra, man. And then it's like either you say fuck the world like Pac, or you give in to that at some point. You're like, all right, I'm a criminal. Okay, cool. It's like that's the things where it's like that you have to fight to be your own. Like you have to fight to not give in to that the subliminal messaging that you're a criminal. You gonna mess up. You're gonna be a criminal. I know you're gonna do something bad. And it's like that pressure of like, man, I ain't never done nothing bad until you like, and it's that kind of thing where you have to fight that. You cannot give in to that environment. And even like I see the smash and grabs and the robberies, like you're smashing and grabbing, like you're smashing grabs, like that's your life. Like you're actually those corporations, that Nordstrom, they have insurance. And they fine, man, but you actually just smash and grab your own life. Like you just set yourself back like for something that you probably not gonna really use. And it's like now 5 years from now you're gonna be able to be like, yeah, I used to do smash and grab, then I got like, it's like now it's almost like it's a setback, man. And it's like you give in to that essence of you're a criminal. You're a criminal. It's like you give into it. And it sets you further back. So it's like you cannot allow this that you cannot, you have to fight through that. Like, do not allow yourself, if you know like you are who you are, and don't allow this society to make you a criminal. And it's like, and being a weird black male is dangerous. Being a strong black male is dangerous. Being an intellectual black male is dangerous. Being a leader, a black male leader, a black woman leader, a black trans leader, whatever. It's like, if you black, the intersectionality is like is you take on a lot, man. And it's a mental health and a physical health challenge that you have to be mindful of. And also it's like, I know the pushback is there's opportunity. Yeah, man. I was just sitting in a meeting where there's full of opportunities for small businesses and nonprofits to get off the ground. So it's not about it's not being opportunities for people to make things happen. It's about it's like an impacted tooth. Like I can't just brush my teeth and that impacted tooth gets fixed. You have to go. It's like a surgical procedure to get that impacted tooth out, and it's like that's how it is for underserved communities. This is decades of steeped in muck of not being able to move forward because of the redlining, because of the racist freeway systems, because of the apartheid, the food apartheid, because of the environmental injustice. It's like we are steeped. It's. I used to have an old joke where it was like, there was a scientist that put a bunch of flies in a jar, and he closed the jar, and they were trying to get out. They were trying to get out, and then one day, there's a few of them. Then another day is less. And then finally, like, you didn't hear, like, they wasn't making any sound. And then the scientist, like, he took off the jar, and not a single fly flew out. And then he looked in there, and they was making dope beats by Dre. It's like that was, and it's like it's that kind of thing where if it's so baked in that we not going nowhere, we not moving forward. Fuck it, man. I'm living this life. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's hard to just break out of that all of a sudden. It's a process, and it takes like work. And that takes me to the Willie Lynch document. To break a slave, and if you do it right, they'll do it for the rest of eternity, pretty much. It's like, they'll sabotage each other without you doing anything, and you're like, see, they choosing to do that. Like, one of the excerpts is the Untold Story 1712. Don't forget you must. So this is this dude. This is how people used to talk, man. When they breaking their slaves, like passing on information of how to best break a slave that will last generations. It's like, so don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. And now it's like the straight versus the LGBTQ, and then so on. And the classism, the affluent black people versus the poor black people. You must you must also have your white servants and the working class, the rural white working class that still vote against their own best interests. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it is necessary your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are the keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensively for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. And he finished with, "Thank you, gentlemen." That's what we battling, man. It's the mind, it's the conditions, the environment we in. So yeah, it's a brutal process. Like, there is no snap a finger, two-step. Like, there is not gonna be like 1 year ain't changing nothing. 1 year of wokeness ain't changing nothing. 2 years of woke, it's like, it's a process. It's a process, man. It is exhausting. It is hard. And also, you're trying to enjoy life, and not being apologetic about that shit. Like, go get it. And that's where it's like you have people like Nipsey, where it's like, yo, I'm gonna make my money. I'm gonna enjoy my life. I'm gonna travel the world. I ain't gonna just like toe the line and be poor and shit. Like, you're not helping nobody if you stay poor. That's something that I have to be more focused on and go get it. And it's like, uh, you can't just be of service without getting yourself ahead, without picking yourself up as well. You got to pick yourself up. What is the oxygen mask? But it's like, so you have to create and establish financial wellness for yourself, or you're not really going to sustain helping anybody. And that's something I've learned the hard way so many times. It's still a challenge. And that's where you learn from people like the prophets. I think if we just understood Pac, Nipsey, they're prophets, man. They are prophets first. And that's like, I don't know why we hesitate on calling our prophets. Like, Pac is a prophet. Nipsey was a prophet. DMX is a prophet, man. Like the man, the soul of a man, the soul of a human being. Like where we at right now is human beings. Like we part of my mental health advocacy, is bringing mental health back to the soul. And then you see that, you hear that in the lyrics. It's like the how powerful your words are. And I think that's anything I would never tell an artist what comes from their own soul and their own heart and their own passion and their own mind. But just to know how powerful the mic is, how powerful the pen is to make positive change. And the rappers that reach for prophet status, they reach towards being prophets. Like that's a whole nother level. And I think that's something where it's like the more our artist understands the power of the words that they use, it's so much more impactful in a positive way, right? Because you hear old people say, "Oh, the rap is rapping," and are really conservative black folks. The rap this day and it's always been, it's always that. But it's like, it's just to understand, to really break down, like, yo, your words are powerful, man. Like, yeah, you can rap about such and such, or you can rap about changing the fucking world. Like, how dope is that? Like, that's next level. Like, I'm gonna rap about changing the world. I'm gonna rap about like bringing my people up. I'm gonna rap about co-ops, man. I'm gonna rap about things that really get the community forward. And I'm still gonna make my bread. I'm still gonna ball out and travel and enjoy the parties and live my life. I'm a youngin'. I'm still gonna enjoy my life and do the damn thing. But I'm gonna rap about things that move the people that grew up like me forward. Um, like that's generational change, man. That's artivism, and I'll end it with on a positive note, co-ops and Bruce's Beach. Because one thing is we get stuck in the muck of the everyday life and seeing the what latest tragedy. But for that black family to get Bruce's Beach is a miracle. Like, think of any time, however old you are as a black person, you never saw that coming. That a black family would get something that on that kind of land, on that kind of property, beachfront property, they would actually get it back. That never happens. So it's like we gotta not only, it's the there's so much to do and there's so much that black people have lost over the last 60 years, and that the disappointment of not getting that civil rights bill passed right now is thoroughly disappointing, and that's it's a mark, against this current administration for not figuring out a way. And it's like, part of me is like, maybe that should have been before pulling out of the war and getting that done first, and trying to figure out the order of how you get things done. And it's like 2020 is hindsight. So you do appreciate, and bringing our people home, like, is always important. But if we don't secure our democracy, we in trouble. Like, I don't want to get back into where we were. Where we're about to go into that place of darkness, man. But we have martial law. Like, we have somebody studying dictators and trying to do military drills. Like, that was unreal. Back to positive. I'm getting off topic. Bruce's Beach is a reminder that change is possible in the most amazing ways, that you will never even imagine. If you keep at it, if you work, like, it's so easy to be negative. Like, our mind is, we everybody knows at this point, but it's our mind 70% negative, can be 70% negative at any given time. So it's like, so negative is the easy way out. Then, like, fuck that, fuck this, it's the cynic, I hate everything. Ain't no work. That ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. It's like, that's easy, man. That's easy. Like it's the how do you stay positive when it's all going bad? How you stay positive when you're not paying the rent? How you stay positive when you got kids to feed and you just lost your job and you working two jobs you messed up your leg, but you still gotta go to work. It's like, are you a nurse and you just steamroll through this whole period of time while we're not in the hospitals every day. It's like staying like, how do you stay positive? Like that's the challenge. Um, I'll end it on co-ops, and I think like building co-ops in underserved communities. I really do believe um, that's the hallmark of moving communities forward. Like creating quality jobs, like the old school quality jobs. Like that's kind of what I was hoping for this administration, where they would create like the old school jobs where you could get a job. You know, the old school factory jobs where the baby boomers, they got just a regular skilled job and they could buy a house, buy a car, raise a family, pay the mortgage. You know, it's like that's the kind of jobs that I was hoping this administration would create. Um, like with the Green New Deal, the Build Back Better deal is like, if you're in LA, Measure J, it's like creating jobs where it's skilled labor, but it's also entry level where you can actually go in, work, learn that skill, and make a living for yourself. You know, that's what I was hoping to see coming out of this pandemic to for public safety, to offset crime rates. It's like having those kind of jobs where it's like, shit, I'm working $60,000 a year job, man. It's like, um, and that's where the reimagined public safety is like, where we gotta, like, we see this year's and every year we know that during the holiday season is a high period of people pulling scams, the hustling, the smash and grabs. It's like, so what do we do throughout the year? Because next year is coming. So what do we do to offset that? Like study what makes the smash and grabs like very effective. Why the smash and grabs? What area are they coming out? Are people coming together and doing the smash? You know, it's like, what's the profit? Like studying that and trying to eliminate it before the preventative measures, the breaking the cement of these concrete jungles more aggressively, like instead of romanticizing the roads that grew from the concrete, like we can do that, but let's break up the concrete so we stop forcing these roses to grow from concrete. Like that's the problem. So it's like, how do we get some soil down so we can have roses and all kind of other plants grow healthy from day one? Um, but back to co-ops. And there'll be a lot of links for this podcast, but I'll leave a link to Madrigal in Spain for people to view co-ops. And what's a co-op? Like the co-op is the to like you actually learn to work in the democratic system. You know, like it's almost like creating little democracies around the nation in the corporate spaces in corporate America. He's like creating little democracies. Um, and and there's one in the Mandela grocery store in Oakland, has a co-op, and they kind of in the article that I'll share, they break down the co-op. They share the structure of MLK's vision, and it's like Mandela's groceries vision responds to Dr. King's call for creative job expansion, jobs for the people in the neighborhood, jobs that build income, skills, and community amenities, jobs that function for our neighbors. Cooperative jobs can be jobs in various industries that are complementary and essential, such as groundskeeping, design, and building for food production and food distribution. Dr. King created a blueprint for jobs creation in his proposal for guaranteed jobs. The development of skills and education are outcomes and not prerequisites of the job program. I'll read that again. The development of skills and education are outcomes and not prerequisites of the job program. And that's very important. Sometimes they create all these programs. We got to do all this, make the perfect resume and have qualifications that you wouldn't be able to get, and just jump through this loophole to be before you get there. And like part of the job is learning the skills and education that having on the job. Like how much that we're gonna bring to it, you know. Two is the jobs are producing community and public services that are in short supply and benefit the most valuable. Valuable. Yeah, the most vulnerable, the most valuable. Um, and and then third is the job program guarantees an income for individuals and families that have unmet needs. And then we see how this affects public safety, like all the war on and crime rate and the all it's important, right? And tough on crimes, like you really want to address public safety and how much it costs to take care of the homeless with first aid and ambulances. And it's like you create strong models of income that we've let go because of very selfish, greedy people have run amok in this country for so long, and we just roll back everything for them. That's where Bernie says the oligarchy. Like we keep capitulating to people that are very greedy human beings, and our government struggles to really face them and address them, make choices that make them uncomfortable, where they actually take a loss, where it's like, no, yeah, you definitely need to take a loss on the corporate greed. Like the housing market is insane right now. So what are we going to wait for a housing bubble to burst again, or are we going to do something preemptive? That's where we want a government that focuses on like doing preemptive care, you know, and restorative justice. Is like let's stop waiting for the next climate disaster, the next the next mass shooting. Like we can't even do it after the fact. Like, can we do it before the fact, at least before the next one? Can we make changes like other governments do, sweeping changes when something spectacularly awful happens, right? But the money clogs the system, where it's like, oh, we need to make all these changes, and then money just gets thrown at it. And we're like, yeah, we're not gonna make any changes at all. We might just suggest something. Oh, we can't suggest nothing? Okay, we're not going to even suggest anything, change. We're just not even talk about it. We're just going to send out our thoughts and prayers, and just train the whole nation to do thoughts and prayers all the time. So with that, man, that I was supposed to close on something more positive. So Bruce's Beach, check that out. That's one of those signs, man. You get just the right people, the collection of people, like amazing things can happen. Change can happen. It just takes the right blend, the right mix, the right commitment, and well-meaning and intention, and communication and being real with each other. And amazing things can and will happen. So with that, man, I'm gonna close it out. And this has been the 68th episode. It's probably gonna take me a minute to make another episode, to tell the truth. So I really tried to load a lot into this one. And I hope that my friends and fans and followers enjoy it, and really can kind of take stuff out of it that they can use for themselves and help their people, and just enjoy it, man. Like you can comment, talk about it. Like, hey man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know, whatever. Hey, yeah, man. This is Magic with 2 A's. This has been Fight the Funk podcast, episode 68. So thank you for listening. Deuces.